Yes, 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 it is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Here we sit in early May. Off season, the draft is behind us. I'm looking at your hair. You're looking at mine. Wow, this is bad. We're brought to you by Bryant and Smiley One, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling service systems. Daryl, your hair is to the skull, and mine is like super poofy today. I don't know.
You are like me, due for a haircut.
You know, yeah, I am due for a haircut, and I'm like wearing logo stuff underneath it, so I had to find some random jacket to throw on underneath. So I have like 6 layers on, and it's 75 degrees outside. So
my rule is once I have to start combing the hair and using product to at least make it look like I'm a civilized human being, yeah, it's got to go. Time to go. Haircut time. By the way,
yeah, I mean, you want to talk about high and tight? Are you?
I did go high and tight. Yeah.
Well, show the folks on the side that are watching us on YouTube. I mean, that is wow, Daryl. I can see your skull.
So, funny story. When I went to the barber this morning, I think I can tell this. I don't think anyone.
Well, we'll find out after the fact, won't we?
I guess we will. So I register online, so I get my spot in line. So all I have to do is pull up and basically go and sit in the chair and get my haircut.
Sure.
So I do that. Get out of the car, throw my quarter in the meter, walk in. I'm next in line. The young lady comes get it. You know, come on back, whatever. And then as I'm getting ready to walk back, this young man was cutting an old white dude's hair. And the old white dude wasn't real thrilled with the haircut. Basically, the young lady had to show the young man how to cut a white dude's hair.
I can see that, can't you? I mean, if you've been cutting barbershop your whole life, and
so I don't know if he was new on the job or whatever, but I was sort of glad that I got her and not him, because I would have been really, really uncomfortable if someone had to be taught how to cut my hair while I'm sitting there getting my hair cut.
Yeah, I don't think you ever want to be a part of barber school.
Yeah, no. My grandma growing up, that was her thing, is when she would get her hair done, she would take us kids with her.
And let me guess, weekly. She would go weekly, right?
Yep.
And wouldn't wash her hair during the week.
Well, I don't know about that.
We're not too far away from that generation, I can tell you.
I can't speak to her hair hygiene habits, but
well, if you're not sweating, they feel like they, and you keep Aquanet in business.
Well, that's where we went growing up, is we ended up going to the beauty school to get our hair cut, because that's where grandma went to, get her hair done.
And how bored were you?
Out of my
mind. Oh, with you completely.
Yes.
I suffered through the same pain.
Oh, so
I would have to go with my mom like once every Saturday, and I would sit in a chair, and it took hours.
And they had nothing in there to read that I was remotely interested in, because all the magazines were female based, right?
Yeah.
It just, pain. It was a painful experience. Luckily, we only
hours I would sit in that chair.
Well, yeah,
I don't even know if I had a coloring book.
Yeah, with the curlers and the cut and the
and then they put them underneath that gigantic dryer system. I don't even know what was that all about. I wonder if those could help concussions.
I do. Yeah, it kind of did look like Guardian.
I mean, totally the forerunner of Guardian stuff, without a doubt.
Yeah,
without a doubt. All right, so we've discussed your hair. We'll discuss my hair.
Which is, you really, man, you got to get the lettuce tightened up over there.
Well, it's not bad. No, it's not bad. The problem is, the longer it gets, the grayer it looks. So that's the problem.
It's a little poofy.
Yeah, here I can get.
Yeah, it's a little poofy right now. Yeah.
I'd spit, but I think that's kind of gross.
You've got dad head right now, like that.
The problem is I don't care anymore. That's the whole thing. I mean,
well, neither do I. But again, if I have to,
this is like really bad. Like I used to do TV all the time. Yeah. I still do TV, and this is like, I might get in between breaks. I might go throw some water down.
You still have your natural curl.
Hey, at least it's real. I think. Hang on, show me for the folks watching on YouTube. Tell me if it's on straight. Hang on a second.
Here we go. Drum roll, please. There we go. He's tightening up the wig. There we go.
Is it on straight?
The two pot is aligned correctly.
But it doesn't get any better than hair talk
Oh,
on It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. Yeah.
It's getting really bad. Not the more you play with it, the worse it gets. So I wouldn't touch it. I'd leave it be.
So plenty of things we can talk about. Well, you want to start with Brian Allen? Big time center signing. Big time.
Huge. I mean, this is an earth-shattering, franchise-altering, season-saving, potentially signing. Yeah. They added a center. Great. Awesome. Depth.
All right. Another thought on the Browns. Rookies are here, end of the week.
Can't wait for rookie minicamp, man.
This could be the least anticipated rookie camp in Browns history. No. What am I talking about? We had the Bo Bell draft would have been the least anticipated, right?
No, I think this is gonna surpass the Bo Bell draft. Easy.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bo was a 4th rounder.
Easy. So
why? What makes this rookie minicamp different than any other rookie minicamp?
Because one of these guys might play this year.
All right, I'll give it to you.
Which
one?
My call.
That's it.
Yeah.
Only one?
Yeah, I think.
What's up with Zender's health going into this thing? We're not expecting him to do anything at rookie minicamp, are we?
Yeah.
We are?
He's not on crutches or anything. Yeah, he told us that he's good to go. You're shocked by that, but
I'm just saying I'm babying this guy during rookie minicamp. I don't need him to.
He broke bones, not tore ligaments. Like that's the big difference. Like
I'm still worried about that. I mean, how much super glue is in there to get the bone back together? Like screws, plates.
Bone heals pretty well.
All right, doctor.
Just you asked. I mean, bone heals.
I know. I'm a little concerned about that.
During his introductory press conference that he's ready to roll. He's good to go.
So, all right, Daryl, what happens during rookie minicamp? And are any vets even allowed to come, or can they?
Yeah, there's
it's rookies.
It's
free
agents, undrafted free agents, and then select guys on like the back end of the roster. Maybe some rehab guys might be out there or whatever. But I'm interested to see how many free agents they ultimately signed. I'm gonna make a educated guess that the vast majority of the rookie minicamp roster is going to be invitees, just guys that are allowed to come in and try out, get some practice film on tape that they can take with them to shop themselves around to other teams to say, hey, look at me. I did some NFL drills over the weekend.
I'm wearing a jersey.
Right. So that's pretty much. And I don't expect it to be a lot because when they've had small rookie classes before, rookie minicamp is really pared down, like a lot of individual and positional drills and teaching. We saw that last year with the Browns, where there was not a lot of 7-on-7 type stuff. It was individual position drills that they would go through. Because it's kind of hard to field a team when you got like 25 people on the field for a rookie minicamp, right?
Right. Well, you can't go 11-on-11 with a couple subs.
And my anticipation is like we'll be out there on Friday for availability, which is fine. That works. The Cavaliers will play Saturday night, so in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So I'm totally cool with one day of rookie minicamp availability because no rookie class has been hyped more than this one.
It's a good point. All right, I've got some stuff I do want to talk about when we come back. 18-game schedule. There was a roast of Tom Brady that was off the hook, and then a former Brown retired. It's all straight ahead on It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. We are brought to you by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling systems. Daryl, we talked about some just really big-time stuff in the first segment. Hair probably leading the way in the worst segment we've ever done in the history of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland, if you're keeping score at home. Also want to remind you that down the road, we will have a major change to this podcast, whether you watch it on YouTube or you're listening to us on the Odyssey app. Let's talk about the 18-game schedule now, Daryl, and your thoughts on that, because it does seem like it's inevitable. The question is, when is it going to happen?
Well, I think it's going to be a couple of years before they're able to get it implemented, but it's inevitable, right?
Because, hang on, Daryl, just because the CBA now, they're in a 10-year CBA, so we're talking
Yeah,
How many years in? Is this year 3 of the 10-year CBA or something like
they
that?
can still add it in there. They can still add it.
Right, but the players have to agree to something, so the
Right.
players are going to want some
The
stuff.
The collective bargaining agreement is not going to hold up Roger Goodell finally getting his 18 game schedule. I believe it was 2021 when they went to 17, if I remember correctly. And
Yeah,
when they did that, I was like, 18's coming. I don't know why they just didn't go to 18 right away.
I agree.
But what ultimately is going to happen, I believe, is that they will go to the 18 game schedule. There'll be 2 bye weeks. Roger Goodell is on record. I believe it was at the draft or leading up to the draft where he spoke about he wants the Super Bowl to be on President's Day weekend in February. So that provides some additional room for that bye week, as well as one fewer preseason game, which nobody in the NFL is really going to complain about.
So you're saying I thought Roger made it sound like no preseason game. Sounds like 1.
No, they'll do 2.
I don't know, man. I don't see it.
It's still going to be 20 games. So right now it's 7. It used to be 16 and 4. All right. Or I guess it's 4 and then 16. Then it went down to 3 and 17. And then it'll eventually go to 2 and 18. And it's going to be interesting how they structure the game. So part of the reason they went to the 17 was so that they could do more neutral site international games and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love and I know fans are not going to like this, but I think it would be cool if there would be a game like in college football stadiums, right? If the Browns played the Lions at the University of Michigan.
So 2 neutral site games a year for every team?
I think that would be a fair compromise, or guaranteed 1 neutral site per year for each team. And then you do what you're doing now. And 1 year you get the 9 home games if you're the AFC, and then the NFC gets the 9 home games the following year. Like you bounce that back and forth. I don't know what the perfect solution there is, but absolutely everyone's going to be playing a neutral site game. And again, they're trying.
So now is the time to do it, though, Daryl. And here's why I agree with everything you're saying. And I'm going to give you another caveat in here, too, that once you went to 17 games, you still left yourself at 8 and 8. You can be 8 on the road and 8 at home, and then call one of those a neutral. Game. So you're not really losing a home gate. Correct. Now you go to the 18th game, excuse me, and then you go 1 international, 1 neutral site game, and you can allow for 2 byes, maybe perhaps start the season Labor Day ending on President's Day. If they go back to the Labor Day, it's been a long time since they played on Labor Day, but the neutral site college idea, Daryl, I
think it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. And you know why it's brilliant? Because
I came up with it?
No, because the NFL had their eyes on the NHL, and take a look at Blue Jackets Red Wings coming up at Ohio Stadium, 100,000+ at that game. So when you look at what the NHL's been able to do with their Winter Classics, the NFL's got to be salivating going, man, if like the 4th most popular professional league in the country is making tons of money doing that, imagine what we can do with that.
Could you imagine,
with having special games like this, the college tour, the college series, or something like that?
Could you imagine Browns Bengals at Ohio Stadium in Columbus?
Yes, I can.
How awesome would that be? It won't happen because Cincinnati doesn't want to lose the Browns as a home game. Cleveland will not want to lose the Bengals as a home game. But I think that would be phenomenal. Notre Dame hosting an NFL game, because here's the other thing too. We all know that, colleges are money grubbing, whats. And if there's an opportunity for them to make a few extra bucks, they will absolutely pounce on that. And this would be an additional revenue stream for those particular colleges. And a lot of these stadiums have been renovated now, these college stadiums. So you could feasibly do this because, the locker rooms have been updated, right? Broadcast infrastructure, which is very important to the NFL. In a lot of these places that has been updated. How about this one? How about Steelers Eagles in Happy Valley?
Yeah.
How awesome there's so many things that you could do. You could do
I wrote down, I'm like, places I'd like to see games. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State, Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And I'm just, this is off the top of my head. I'm just kind of thinking of, like, you don't think the Browns would end up with a game with Tennessee? Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
Rocky Top. Yeah.
I'm sure I'm thinking maybe Clemson.
Yeah, Death Valley would be great.
I'm forgetting one that and I'm just off the top of my head. I don't know. Maybe that's where you slide a couple games up to Canada.
Nah,
Toronto.
I don't like the idea.
Toronto and Vancouver probably would get a game.
But they would do it because Toronto and Vancouver would absolutely. Although in Toronto now, because they redid the Rogers Center, I think that's what it's called now.
Yeah,
where the Blue Jays play, they just redid that. I don't know. I think it's no longer configurable to football anymore. Like they made it a hard baseball stadium. They redid the lower bowl and it is fixed. So I don't know if they can get a football field in there now. And they also redid the outfield as well. Like they did a great job. But I don't know that Rogers Center can be converted back into a football stadium.
Well, now you got me all wondering what's.
I know. I see you Googling over there.
How can you see me Googling? Is it coming off my glasses?
I just know what you're doing.
Yeah, you're pretty smart.
Sixth sense about these things.
Well, you're right. I didn't realize that the Argonauts they play at Exhibition Place now.
Yeah,
where the Blue Jays used to play. Look at that.
Mark
BMO Field. Yeah. I'm not up on my CFL football. Yeah. By the way, that's a really nice stadium. That makes sense that they remodeled it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Daryl.
Yeah,
that was
they didn't build a new ballpark for the Blue Jays, so they're like, we'll just go ahead and gut the lower bowl of the Rogers Center and completely rebuild it from the ground up, and that's what they did.
I like Rogers Center. I think it's a great place to watch a baseball. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah. Well, it's just because it's a circular, it's a circular building, which is not great for sight lines for baseball. But again, when you shorten up the foul territory there, it's okay.
All right, Daryl. Let's take a quick time out. I want to come back and talk about the roast from earlier this week. And a Browns legend says...
I would not refer to him as a Browns legend, but...
And as a Browns player, former Browns player, says, it's time to say goodbye. It's a very special and emotional. It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Back after this. It's always game day in Cleveland, brought to you locally by our friends at Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling systems. All right, Daryl, we've talked about a lot of things. First, let's give you Browns news, then we'll talk about the roast from the other night. Man, the Tom Brady roast was unbelievable. We'll get to that in a second, though. Farewell to Duke Johnson. I opened up my computer this morning and I started looking through headlines, and it says Duke Johnson retires. And as I looked at that, I said to myself, didn't he retire 2 years ago? And then I realized that he actually did retire today. So, or when we're doing this podcast. So your thoughts on Duke Johnson, his amazing relationship with, who was it? Was it Baker Mayfield he had a good relationship with? Or was that, I want to make sure I don't get my quarterbacks wrong.
Well, he spoke about Baker Mayfield's money, which is...
Yes, that's what it was. Yes. Okay.
Hey, no. That you don't do. I mean, Duke Johnson, eight years, former draft pick of the Browns. I think they drafted him, I want to say, in the third round back in 2015.
Wait, he wasn't a wide receiver and they drafted him in the third round?
No,
are you sure?
Wow, this was the Sashi Brown regime.
Oh, okay. So then those were the years. Those prior to that, you couldn't hire it. You couldn't bring in a wide receiver.
The Browns weren't trying to win many games. Hence, they drafted Duke Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry. That might.
He wasn't bad. I didn't think Duke was bad. They didn't give him the ball enough.
He was all right. He averaged. I'm pulling up his numbers right now because I'm curious to see what he ended up with for his career. He totaled in his career.
Okay.
He ran for a total of. They changed these.
Do you have 20 touchdowns? He had 20 plus touchdowns, didn't he?
No,
he had 11.
He had 11 touchdowns.
Wow.
You're like,
I had him in the end zone.
He had at least 20 touchdowns in his career, right? Actually, though, to be fair to Duke, if you add all his touchdowns together, he did. He had 22.
I was talking about his whole career. Okay.
Yeah, he had 12 receiving touchdowns and 10 rushing.
I wasn't too far off. That wasn't idiot Andy.
Okay, wait a minute. These numbers can't be right. I'm just triple checking these numbers.
All right, I've got him with 11 rushing,
22-65 2,265. There are guys that run for that in a season. He did this over 8 years.
Yeah, that's true. 23 touchdowns in his career, right? 11 on the ground, 12 in the air.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure that was right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just the yardage kind of threw me off because like he did in his career what some guys have done in a season. So
Gerald, did you have a story about him? I don't know why I thought you did. You have a story?
So Duke Johnson is one of a I don't know, maybe a not so exclusive club of former players that wanted to kick my ass in the locker room.
Oh, good. Why?
So this was back in the days of Kenny Britt.
Mhm.
And the Browns started the season, we'll say 0-7 or 0-8. This is the 1-16 year. This is the year before they went 0-16. So this is the 2016 season. They won.
Okay.
Remember, they won on Christmas Eve. Jamie Peter blocked the field goal. The pro.
Oh, that's right. Yes, way to go, Jamie.
He saved the Browns from like a 38 loss losing streak.
I do remember.
So, basically, I wanted to show what a clown show the Browns were behind the scenes because I had observed a lot of really just dumbassery going on in the locker room. And it just totally explained why they couldn't win any games. So during practice, the position coaches were constantly having to yell at players because they were goofing off during individual and stretching and stuff like that. They were too busy dancing to music instead of taking their reps. So I observed the receivers coach. I forget who it was at the time, but the receivers coach is just going after these guys. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to film this. People need to see what the hell's going on out here. So I film it. And it's Kenny Britt and the receivers missing reps because they're dancing in the middle of practice. Now, for coverage issue, because we don't, out of respect for the team,
right.
Any discussion between the coaches and the players, those type of interactions,
right?
We don't put those out there on social media. So I killed the audio from the clip.
Okay.
And I put the clip out of the receivers dancing. And I said, well, clearly the Cleveland Browns are enjoying their winless season a lot more than fans are.
Wow. Daryl Ryder poking the bear.
From the top rope with an elbow. And I totally admit it was a D thing for me to do. I totally admit that.
A Daryl thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one way to put it. So I totally acknowledge that. And I don't run from it. Don't hide from it. But again, I wanted fans to see what a clown show it was. Now, in the locker room, we would be in there, and you had players that would run around the locker room dropping profanities around the live mics during interviews.
Right.
So then we could not use the audio on the air.
Did they know that on purpose, though?
Yes, this was all it was coordinated, and it was.
And you knew that for a fact.
Yes,
guys knew that
because Kenny Britt bragged about it, like it was his thing. That was his bit. Okay,
right.
So I was like, and that's where I just was like, because I had addressed that with the PR. PR wasn't doing anything about it at the time. And so it's like, look, I went through the proper channels to try and get this addressed. The Browns don't give a crap, so neither do I. So now I'm going to start showing folks what is really going on and why the Browns just can't win football games. And I wanted to show the lack of maturity on the team. So I put that clip out with that, again, I acknowledge a very snarky, D-style caption. Well, locker room obviously saw it and was very displeased with me. Namely, Duke Johnson. Duke wanted a piece of me, wanted to tear me limb to limb.
Or in this case, Nuke Johnson is correct. Yes.
Or Nuke. Little Nuke LaLoosh popped into my head. Because Duke sometimes, that locker room reminded me a lot of like a locker room's full of Nuke LaLooshas everywhere. But yeah, and Duke basically never spoke to me since from that moment on. He gave me.
Did he say anything to you or no?
Death stare. Gave me the death stare.
Was he dancing? Was he one of the guys dancing?
He may or may not have been one of the guys that danced during practice, but I did not get him on film doing it. But yeah, he was very unhappy with me. And look, I get it. Like if someone that's covering the team is taking a pot shot at us on social media and stuff like that, I totally get his anger and frustration and whatnot. And I offered to talk it out with him, and he had no interest in wanting to talk it out with me because, like I said, the only conversation he wanted to have with me was his fist in my mouth. So I'm actually kind of glad that we didn't talk because, well, I like having all my teeth. But yeah, Duke, not a big fan of Daryl Ryder. And he finished his career with 2,265 total yards and 23 touchdowns on the ground there. Oh, by the way, he caught, though. Here's the thing. So, Duke was a multi-purpose back. Let's give him his love. Set the sarcasm aside. What made him so skilled was he was kind of the Swiss Army knife back. So you throw it to him out of the backfield. So when you total in his receiving yardage, he almost had 6,000 yards in his career because of what he was able to do catching the ball out of the backfield. But I personally, no hard feelings toward Duke. I thought he did a nice job when he was here with the Browns. I didn't think he got enough opportunity when he was here with the Browns. But happy retirement. And, like I said, wish him all the best in his retirement, and hopefully he's able to kick back and relax and enjoy himself post-football, and I'm glad he got to go out on his terms.
I want to talk about, we're going to have a schedule release for the next one. Maybe we'll talk about the roast down the road here because I don't have a lot of time.
You want to talk about the 9/11 jokes and the Aaron Hernandez jokes and all the
there was more to it than that, though. I mean, and the thing is
those are the clips that went viral, and
yeah, I know, but the people delivering those, like, I don't think they wrote any of those. Like, I'm pretty sure that the comedians that were sitting on the other side were the ones that wrote those jokes. Although I will say Tom Brady was very good. Bill Belichick was awesome. Robert Kraft was only up for a couple seconds. I thought he did really well too. Julian Edelman was pretty funny. They killed the guy from TB3.
Yeah.
Just killed him.
There were Robert Kraft massage jokes, by the way, in the roast.
Oh, I know. I watched it. I mean, there were points where I was like, I can't believe that was just said.
Robert Kraft, apparently big fan of Warren, Ohio back in the day, and that's all I'm going to say.
Only because you're from where? Where you're
Warren,
from?
Ohio.
Okay, you can say that then.
Yes, I can. And I always remember when I would get the Plain Dealer and I would open up the back page of the sports section. And I was young and naive and had no idea what all those ads on the back page of the sports section were really for.
Well, it just said massage. I mean.
Right. Massage. So I was young and ignorant back then and did not know what was actually going on and said massage parlors. And then the feds stormed into Warren and shut them all down. And then the Plain Dealer lost a lot of business. Or I should say a lot of advertisers.
Yeah, when I worked in a certain market where I worked for a TV station that was owned by a newspaper, they said this was the beginning of the end for newspapers too, because personal ad Craigslist was invented.
Oh yeah,
and that killed personal ads. And at the time, they weren't taking orders over the phone. New York
Times should have bought Bumble or Tinder, and then they'd be fine.
Well, you had to go into the newspaper to pay for your ad. And they would all line up like on Fridays to come in and pay. I heard stories about it. I was never there. I was too young for that.
Of course. Yes. All
right. So Daryl, so we did touch on that. So I feel better. I've got other stuff. I almost told you maybe I will tell you down the road, your locker room story. And then I'll ask you.
You know what? I think you should tell me the locker room story now, just in the fairness. I put myself out there. I think you should put yourself out there.
All right. Without any names, I'll tell you the story.
Oh, you got it. I mean, come on.
No, can't.
Am I going to know immediately who you're talking about, though?
You may have heard the story before. I don't think I've ever told it. I've always said it without names.
Okay.
So when I first started back in Cleveland, which was, when was I back in Cleveland?
Late 90s?
2000. I think 2000 was my first year back in Cleveland. Although I had covered the Browns starting in 95 from Columbus. So I would drive up. But and
I
then
remember you were on the local TV broadcast partner for
here. That was much later.
For the then Indians when they were.
But no, I was Jay Crawford's producer at Channel 10 in Columbus. So that's when I first, and so I would come up and cover. I would cover Indians. I would cover. They let me cover the Cleveland stuff. So and then Jay would come up too every once in a while. The two of us would, if Jay had something else going on, then I would come up. But the story goes like this: I just come back to Cleveland to work. My primary beat, though, when I was working at Fox on a news show that was a phenomenal news show called Ohio Sports Report.
I remember the Ohio
That was
Sports.
a great show. I love doing that show. But I was covering the Browns, filling in for our regular reporter. She was out that day.
Okay.
And I had one goal, and it was to interview a player who played for the team that we were playing that week, or the Browns were playing that week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped an unnecessary we there. I'm sorry, Daryl. I didn't mean to do that.
It's all right.
So I walk in, and you remember this as well as I do, that let's just say the locker room was open from 12 to 1 for the media, right? Much like the pool times in Caddyshack for the caddies, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
So I walked in to the locker room at noon, like everybody else. And I wanted to get the quarterback first, so I was looking out of the corner of my eye to get said player who was going up against his old team. One of the reporters walked over to said player and started doing an interview with that said player. Okay. This was at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
I had one job to do, and that was to get that one player. So, as well as I do, out of respect, if someone's doing a one-on-one, you kind of back off. You wait your turn.
Yes.
Okay. So I was in there at 12, and the locker room closed at 1. And I waited. In fact, I got sound that I probably didn't need from other players because I was killing time. 12:30 still rolls around. Person still doing the one-on-one, right?
That's a long one-on-one.
Oh, it gets better. So they continue to stay there, and I'm continuing to wait. And I'm waiting in the distance in the middle of the room where we all stand as reporters in the locker room like we're idiots and we talk to each other. And I'm getting really antsy. And now it is it's 11:50, and the locker room closes at noon, and the person doing the one-on-one is still doing the one-on-one.
That is that, and by the way, that is a reporter's worst nightmare scenario.
So I know I've got 10 minutes for 2 questions. That's all I've got. And so now I do a complete hover. And now I stand there for 5 minutes, kind of letting the person who's doing the one-on-one in there saying hey, I realize you're doing a one-on-one. I respect you for that. But man, dude, you've been with this guy for 50 minutes plus now.
Right.
So at 55, I dropped my mic in.
Uh-oh.
Said reporter said, "Oh, I'm sorry. This microphone holder must have a few questions for you."
Ooh.
That's like the lowest of the low in the reporting business.
Yes.
Right?
And I'm trying to think who said reporter is that said that.
It doesn't matter. Because I'm friends with the person now, good friends with the person now. And respect the what out of this person.
Okay.
And I turned and dropped a few letters on him and said, "Bro, you've been here for 55 minutes. I need 2 questions." And the athlete started laughing hysterically, almost to the point where where were you 25 minutes ago where you could have saved me from this one-on-one?
Well, okay, gotcha.
So I looked. So the guy that called me a microphone holder, right.
And by the way, that is a true thing.
Yes.
Baseball writers will there is even to this day, a division between the electronic media and the baseball writers. The baseball writers historically, and even to this day, not big fans of the electronic media. And
no, because they're not there every day, and they don't, those guys have work to do. And now it's like you're working for the electronic media by asking the questions.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is their way of demeaning us and calling us a name is by you get called, because I've been called a microphone holder before too. Been there, done that.
Oh, I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was mad.
Did you?
So anyway, so then I turn to him and I go, "No, please, why don't you ask more questions? Because you need an hour to yourself," while everyone else was waiting to ask him just 2 questions. And everyone knew it. I mean, it was like guy playing against his old team. We all knew what was going on.
Right.
And I had one goal that day, and I knew I wasn't coming back later that week. And so finally he goes, "This microphone." I go, I called him a few choice names. I go, "No, please finish your one-on-one. I've only been waiting 55 minutes. The athlete laughs. I apologize to the athlete for maybe using a off the wall word Maybe not. I don't even remember.
Colorful adjective to
Colorful
describe
adjective.
the reporter.
So anyway, I get my interview and then I walk out and I talk to, I would call a senior member of the media world. And I turn to him and I go, who is that guy? Because I had never met him before either. I am going to kick his you-know-what. That was the rudest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
Ever. And he explains to me who the person is. So then I wait for, I believe it was coach's availability to end. And I was stalking him.
You mean manager?
Waiting him for the what?
Never call a manager a coach. Sincerely, Mike Hargrove.
Oh, what did I just say?
You said coach. You said coach availability.
Yeah, no, it was coach. Football.
Oh, this is football. Oh, this is football.
Oh, this is all football. No, this
I
isn't
thought
baseball.
this was baseball.
This was Browns.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this I don't know why I would misled you in this.
I thought for sure this was baseball.
No. This was I normally cover the Buckeyes and I had to cover the Browns that day for our Browns beat reporter.
Ooh, now I gotta think.
Now, you know who it is. This isn't even gonna be that hard for you to figure
Is
out.
this person still?
No, I'm not going in there. I'm not going down that road. I'm good friends with the person now, and we laugh about what happened. So then I had a little conversation
Does this
with him.
person work for a rival outlet?
No.
Okay.
No. Is it Tony Grossi? No, not at all. Tony would never do that. No.
I'll
say it. I don't care.
I said
no. No, I don't. I'm going to tell you it wasn't. I like Tony.
Okay.
So I'm not.
I love Tony too.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
I have a few of his books right over here on my bookshelf.
No. Did he autograph them to you?
I think one of them he did.
To Daryl with love.
No, to Daryl get lost.
Probably. Anyway, there's my story. So it's just. Now I love the guy. I absolutely love him. And but it was just one of those things where I was ready to fight. I was so mad. So mad. All right. So is that good? Does that work for you?
That's all right. It's not as good as Duke Johnson wanting to kick my ass, but
no, that's true. Because I know I guarantee you
I
would have won
the ass whooping. That's you had
I would have won the fight.
You're ready to go.
I think I was still skating hard like 2 or 3 days a week playing hockey back then too. I was ready to drop gloves with somebody who didn't have. I was ready to drop pens and microphones. All right, this has been an extremely interesting edition of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. When we come back, we should have a schedule for you. That'll be in the next edition of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. Peace.